we're okay.
Our set is setting, our coffee
set
is coffeeing, and
our cake is caking.
Talk about things.
Talk about stuff.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
Do you want to start?
Yes.
I think that was actually probably the best intro we've ever done.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Lemon Cake. I'm Amber here.
And Chelsea.
And we are so excited to be back. It's been a minute, but we have a lot of stuff we want to share with you. And we thought that tonight, which we noticed, we're in a completely different setting than we normally are.
Yep.
And we are meeting in the evening, which is a little different.
I don't know if they ever know that.
I mean, lighting,
yeah.
well, you could tell.
Yeah.
You know, anyways.
Yeah.
And we wanted to just chat about why we are Lemon Cake. So,
I thought you were going to say why we are the way we are.
Why we are the way we are. Which we could probably have a whole episode on.
We could. Yeah.
But we've chosen Lemon Cake, and we've mentioned it before, because having some life challenges thrown your way can sometimes put you in a little bit of a sour headspace, right?
Yeah.
And you're with that, the tagline, when life hands you lemons. And we decided that we can talk about these things in a more positive light, and we would make lemon cake out of it.
Yeah.
So,
because sometimes lemonade's just not going to cut it, and
Nope.
you need to have a party.
You need to have a party.
Yeah.
So you make a cake.
Or cake by yourself, but still, it's better than lemonade.
It's better than lemonade.
Yeah.
And it's better than just plain sour lemons.
Yeah.
And so with that, we were talking about, okay, we love to share about our children, about our experiences being parents to the children with medical complexities and disabilities. And a lot of that can be really challenging, discouraging, put you in a headspace of being potentially angry,
Yeah,
bitter, grief-stricken, but we don't want to stay in that space.
Right.
And I think we've talked about that before in here, and we both have been through things with our children recently that could have definitely done that to us, right? I can share very quickly that right before Christmas, just at the end of 2023, Kai had some new imaging done, getting reestablished with a new neurosurgeon, and there were some new findings on his MRI that were not ideal, that involved a lot of fluid that is sitting in his fourth ventricle of his brain that was not there 3 years ago. And now we're having to watch that really closely. It was like a bomb dropped right before Christmas, and it was supposed to be one of those routine visits where you're just like, nice to meet you, check, and it didn't go that way.
Right.
And we could have really sat through the holidays and worried about that and stressed over it, but what good would that have done?
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't worth it, right? And so it was an opportunity for us to make the lemon cake. We said there's no point in stressing over it, worrying about it, because that will not change the situation. We can only do what the medical professionals think are best and continue to monitor it and go from there. And I know Chelsea, with her lovely little kitten, had some fun experiences over the holidays as well that I'm sure she could share with you guys.
Well, I think that one of the reasons why we wanted to touch on all of this, like Amber said, is there's so many feelings that can come with all of it, and I know I allow myself to understand the emotions that I'm going through, and I think you do the same. Like, we go, okay, this is making me feel A, B, or C, angry, bitter, fearful, anxious, worried, whatever it is, and I don't expect to be perfect, and I don't expect anybody else to be perfect. I used to expect myself to be perfect, and I have worked really hard to not be that.
Right.
But to always be improving and understanding who is watching me. And I don't necessarily mean the world around me, although I do want to have, I would like to be a positive light to other people that are going through things.
Right.
But when I say who's watching me, I mean my husband and my kids.
Absolutely.
And these situations are happening to our children. They can't do anything about it. But I realized really early on that the way that we react to things is also how they will react to things, right?
Absolutely. I think.
And I know it's different for Kai versus Kenan.
Right.
Every kid's different.
Every kid is
different. But do you see this too?
100%. And I think in the space where Kenan can probably see that reaction from you, I know that Kai can feel that reaction. And I'm sure Kenan can too. Right. But like you said, every kid is different. But no matter what that energy is like, they can feed off of it in various aspects. Yeah. So if you're going into that with that fear and grief and all of the things that we've both mentioned, they're gonna pick up on that.
Yeah, and it can be the hardest thing to just like check those emotions at the door and go, I have to be strong for my child. But I do think it's our responsibility as moms. And I'm sure somebody's gonna disagree and tell me a situation, and that's fine. I'm more speaking to myself and what we have seen as a benefit in our family. When I am carrying the weight of all of those emotions negatively, Kenan is a different person and not in a good way. Right. And when I can take a minute, process those, and I know that sounds so nice, like take a minute and just process. Sometimes you don't have time to, but you get to a place, if you make the decision that that's how you're going to react, is to process and put on, even if you have to, like, put on a good face just for that moment while you're with them, so that they can walk through it with less fear. Because again, these are things that have happened to them, and I'll tell what happened to Kenan in a minute, but it's just one of the things that's really helped me when I don't want to have a good attitude and make the cake. But so Christmas Eve, we Kenan,
also Chelsea's birthday.
Yes, happy birthday!
Happy
we
birthday,
went to Children's
Chelsea.
Hospital.
Yeah,
which is no big deal.
Right.
I could go off on birthdays another time. I think that they're fun and special and all of that, but I also think that they don't always have to be celebrated, and you don't have to get your panties in a twist if something happens on yours where you're not the center of attention. So I just had too many of mine and too many of Kenan's end up in a hospital.
Right.
So we're like, you know what? We're here and we're thankful for life.
Right.
But Christmas Eve, Kenan came down with a stomach bug, actually the night before, and it seemed like maybe she's going to be able to ride it out and stay home. But we also know her limits, and on Christmas Eve morning, it started looking pretty bad. When a child with glycogen storage disorder, and this could be, and some people call it glycogen storage disease, GSD, there are different types of it. Kenan has type 1A. When somebody with that disorder has a stomach bug and can't keep their food down, they are losing anything in their system that can actually fuel their body, and that fuel is what keeps them alive. Right. So I don't want to be extreme. Kenan was safe the whole time. She's in very good hands. We understand her. We can read her. But she was throwing up a lot, and we realized, oh my gosh, she's not working through this at the typical pace she does. Right. We're gonna have to, and we were doing everything we could at home to try and keep her glucose stable. We're going to have to end up at Children's and put her on an IV. It's the only option at that point. Right. And that's a hard reality to realize. Like at that point, it's the only option to keep your child alive is to go to the hospital and get an IV in as fast as possible. Right. They give her D10, which is dextrose. It's the sugar her body can process. Right. So a D10 drip. And we spent Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in the hospital. And Kenan was hardly conscious. I don't know how she was even like forming words, but she was telling everybody, today's my mom's birthday. And I'm like, oh. But you know what? In that moment, I was like, I could be so mad that we're here on my birthday, that we are now going to be overnight, that we're going to spend Christmas in the hospital. I could be so mad about all of that. Right. But things get put into perspective in those situations too, and I was just thankful she was alive, that we had this option to take care of her, and that everybody was moving quickly and she was making progress. I just stayed focused on that and telling her what a good job she was doing. We'll celebrate Christmas later. It's a day. It's a day. So we'll do it tomorrow or the next day or whenever we get home. my birthday, great, we'll do that another time. Like, it's not that big a deal.
Right.
And it's all about things like this. When they happen, you realize that it's the people in your life that are what's important. And then from there, creating the best relationships possible and giving, in our situation, giving our children the best life possible.
Right.
And that comes down to the example we set. It comes down to the memories and the attention, the eye contact, all of the things that are important in raising a child.
Right.
And I won't go down that laundry list now, but
right.
we thought Kenan was all over this, and then we went back 2 weeks later for the same thing.
Yep. I got the text from Chelsea, and I was like, oh, how fun for them.
Yes. Oh, and let me say, okay, so medical families here, right?
Yes.
I was told that Wes and Blake were not allowed to visit us on Christmas because Wes is only 2 and there was something going on, I guess. I misunderstood. But that's what I was told, and I should have asked somebody else.
Right.
Because whoever I asked didn't know what was happening.
Clearly.
But Amber just walks right in.
With my 2-year-old daughter.
With my 2-year-old. And I'm like, how did you do that? She's like, well, I
said, I don't know.
The system.
I walked up to the front desk and I said, this is the person I need to see, and here's my ID.
So, but you know what, though? Kenan talks about that Christmas now as not the Christmas I was in the hospital. I was so sick. That was the Christmas when Dr. Sam kept calling me buddy.
Yes.
And they were all dressed up as elves, and Amber and Cameron came to visit.
I love that.
They brought me toys. And
yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, the second time we went into the hospital, she didn't want to come home because while she's in the hospital, there's no Wesley.
I don't have to deal with my little brother.
Yeah, no little brother.
And you get all mom's attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All mom snuggles.
Yep. You're like, she's like, oh, this is a vacation.
So we don't want this to be a thing.
No.
But it's a very scary situation that we chose to make cake out of.
And we've had it. Why is it I feel like so many times when our kids end up in the hospital, it's on holidays?
I don't know.
And I know that, like
maybe
Chelsea
it's just
said,
to keep us in check. Like, hey, keep your eyes on what's actually important.
It could be. I mean, maybe it's an extra message there.
Yeah.
But because when this happened with you this year, we've been in the hospital on 4th of July with Kai, on a Labor Day weekend with like the backup hospital staff, and also on New Year's Eve 3 years ago. I think Kai was 3. And it was the first time we were like, ever since we had him, we had my mom watch him, and Danny and I went to a cabin with my really good friend and her husband, just the 4 of us, to spend New Year's Eve. We're in the hot tub and just enjoying ourselves, and we got a call. My mom was calling 911 because Kai was having a shunt malfunction and seizing and all this stuff, and we had to leave Hocking Hills and drive from our cabin an hour and 10 minutes to meet her at the hospital at like 10 p.m. on New Year's Eve. And we rang in New Year's at midnight and in the hospital. Happy New Year. And again, we could have been real salty about it, but man, is it a story now.
Exactly.
And the funny
That's
thing.
the thing. It's like they're always, I was going to say good stories. Maybe
Yes.
not good stories,
Right.
but you can choose to remember some of the good parts.
Right,
and
the
it
good
is a
parts of
story.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kenan's first birthday was in the hospital.
Yeah.
That one I was a little salty about. That's where I learned my lesson. Because
You're like,
there was nothing I could do about it.
Right. It's completely out of your control.
Yeah.
But I think that the reason that Chelsea and I really were like, wow, we'd love to touch base on this in an episode was because we really like the whole premise of Lemon Cake is to just really bring these challenges and these trials that we go through parenting our children in that positive light.
Yeah.
Just keep coming back to, we really want to be able to celebrate during these things because it is just such a slippery slope.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy.
No, it's not.
And it's probably not ever going to get any easier. And truthfully, I feel like you could apply this to any aspect of parenting.
Yeah, I was just thinking, or life.
Life, yeah.
Everybody goes through something, multiple things. Like, life's just going to happen.
Right.
And I hate saying that. Like, life's just, why do we say that? Life's just going to happen. Because
I don't know.
It implies that life is bad.
Right.
But things negative things, adversities will happen. And I've always heard that with every seed of adversity carries with it a seed of equal or greater benefit for those who decide not to fail and keep walking it out.
I like that a lot. I've never heard that.
There's always, like, think about it. Anything that's really been hard in your life,
right?
When you have pushed through, you didn't quit, you didn't give up, you chose to, whether it's like with Kai's stuff or your own health things, or whether it's sports, school, whatever, job.
Right.
Anytime you've pushed through to the other side, you're like, that was so hard. There were times when I thought I wasn't going to make it.
Right.
But then it's worth it. It's always worth it.
You have that, you see the benefit of it on the other side. Yeah.
But and sometimes it's hard to remember that benefit will be there when it seems really dark and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, and I think it can also play into the same, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but when people say, like, when one door closes, another one opens.
Yeah.
What would you call that? I keep thinking anecdote, and I'm like, that's not really the word I'm going for. But
I'm so weird. I'm literally thinking of Deal or No Deal, or because you're like, a door opens. It's door A or door B.
She's
Why
like,
did my
oh,
mind
you
go to
thinking
game
of
show?
game shows?
Yeah.
What is
in cup number 1?
Right, exactly, right. But it's that same concept, right?
Yes. An analogy?
An analogy.
Is that what it is?
An analogy, yes.
We will do some more research next time.
We'll study our
We're
dictionary.
Going to give you hope.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's really all what we wanted to chat about today.
Wait, hang on. Before we wrap up, we have a couple of minutes, and let's just, as we wrap up, what are some things, like practical tips that people can do?
Oh, right, yeah. I like that.
A point or two.
Yeah.
When you face adversity, what are maybe one or two things that's really helped you to push through?
Fair. I think that it's such a good point to make, because we can sit here and say all day long, like, just don't worry about it.
Yeah, just keep going.
Make the cake.
Keep swimming.
Just try not to worry about it and just be happy. Like, no, there's going to be those times. I mean, my first thing, and I think that Chelsea and I just relate on this, is prayer.
Yep. I'm
always going to come to that, because that's the first thing I do when I'm angry, grief-stricken, XYZ, is come to prayer and hope that, not hope, because I know that God's got me in this and got Kai and all of that. So I think that that's one step of just bringing my anxiety down, and trying to turn over the leaf and be more positive about our circumstances.
Yeah.
What do you think, Chelsea?
I would say that partnered with accountability of some sort.
Right.
So whether that is a spouse or a really good friend or even a therapist or somebody, like in my case, like somebody from church, like somebody that is going to go, okay, they're going through something really hard. This might be hard for me to walk through. Right. But they're willing to, family member, like if they're willing to walk through it with you, have grace with you, but also hold you accountable to keep going. And usually, I mean, somebody that has a little bit of space from you can speak into you a little bit more than maybe your best friend. Right. But keep those people close. Don't run from people. That could be a whole nother conversation. But
100%.
Because that's certainly something that's very easy to do, because you don't want to inconvenience anyone or burden anyone, but it is vital that you have somebody to walk through it with who knows what you're going through. And
I think with that too, allowing those people to help you.
Yeah.
Allowing them to
say yes.
I mean, like when they were in the hospital on Christmas Day, I was like, I asked Chelsea, but also I've been there. I'm like, why?
But you kind of just told me you're coming.
I'm coming. And, you know, it's funny because I told Danny, I asked you first, and then I was like, why am I asking her? Because anytime anybody has asked us when we're in the hospital dealing with something, I'm like, no, we're fine. And even though, I mean, like, sure, I would love a Starbucks or whatever it might be. And I feel like just allowing them to help and be in that space with you. So kind of like praying, letting your community be by your side. Yeah. And I was just thinking, too, one other tangible and maybe more physical thing, and this because I just like love to journal and write.
So good, yeah.
Gratitude journals are so great, and I feel like if you continue to come back to things that you are grateful for, it makes it a lot easier to go through those hardships, because you're like, wow, I still have all of this. Yeah. And I actually had someone else too. I don't know where. I think someone bought me this several years ago. as a gift. And this was even before I had Kai. This was just like, you know, we were starting to become adults and life was getting hard. You know, I had to pay bills and stuff.
Who's FICA?
I know, right? And why do they take all of our money?
That's my best friend's line.
I was
like, oh my gosh,
yes. Love it. Love a Friends reference.
Yeah.
But it was this little box, and they had little sheets of paper on them. And it was like, the concept of the box was you take a piece of the paper out, and there was like a little saying on the back of it. It was like writing your worries away. And that's our time.
I guess you'll never know.
You'll never know. And it was like writing your worries away. And it was like this little worry box.
I love that.
And it was, so I could pull a piece of paper out and I could just say like, I'm worried about XYZ, or this is what's sitting on my heart, or this is what I'm stressing over. And I would just fold it up, and then you're supposed to put it in this other like jar. And then like that was your worry jar. And once it was gone in the jar, it was like, it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
It was done. You're just writing your worries away. And I thought that was kind of cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
That reminded me, and I haven't thought about this in forever. Kenan had a worry monster. It had a little zipper mouth, and you unzip its mouth, and you write down your worry, and you put it in its mouth.
Is there a book that goes with that?
Maybe.
Because I think
I don't have the book, but then you'd zip his mouth up, and then the parent is supposed to come and take the worries away.
We should look that up.
Yeah.
Resource for you.
I know. And it was really cute. It's like this pink striped monster.
That's
She
adorable.
Loved that.
I don't know why. I feel like I'm envisioning that. So I feel like I don't know, seen something like that before.
It was really cool.
That is really,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully this is always just encouraging. So
Absolutely.
yeah. I love those points that you shared though, and that worry thing that's awesome. It's such a good idea. We used to do this thing in youth group where we'd write stuff down and throw it in a fire.
Yeah.
Very youth groupy.
Oh yes, we're gonna burn it.
Youth groups love bonfires.
Love a good bonfire.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we did that too.
Yeah,
So.
we should do one. All right.
Well, thanks guys for joining us for another episode of Lemon Cake. We can't wait to join you again with some new content and some new information. We can't wait to chat with you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Lemon cake is caking.
All you bakers, let the lemon cake is kicking. And then, I'm just trying to think right. Bing, boom. Do. And then you're the shh.
I'm a great symbol.
Coming back, it's all coming back.